Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the heart of a lush forest, there lived a sweet little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She was called that because she always wore a bright red hood that her grandmother had made for her. One sunny morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother called her into the kitchen. "Little Red," she said, "your dear grandmother isn't feeling well. She's a bit under the weather, and I think it would cheer her up if you paid her a visit. Would you be a kind girl and take this basket of goodies to her? There are some freshly baked cookies, a jar of honey, and a bunch of beautiful flowers. But remember, Little Red, stay on the path and don't talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood happily agreed to her mother's request. She put on her red hood, picked up the basket, and set off on the winding forest path. The birds were singing, and the sun was shining as she skipped along. As she strolled through the forest, she met a sly wolf. The wolf had seen Little Red Riding Hood and her basket of goodies from afar. He decided to trick her. With a friendly smile, he asked, "Where are you going, Little Red Riding Hood?" "I'm going to visit my grandmother, who lives on the other side of the forest. She's not feeling well, and I'm taking her some treats to make her feel better," Little Red Riding Hood replied. The cunning wolf had a wicked plan. He thought to himself, "If I can reach the grandmother's house before Little Red Riding Hood, I can have a delicious double meal today." So, the wolf dashed off into the forest, taking a shortcut to grandmother's house. Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood continued along the winding path, unaware of the wolf's trickery. When the wolf reached grandmother's house, he knocked on the door. "Who is it?" asked grandmother from her bed. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf mimicked her granddaughter's voice. Grandmother, hearing the familiar voice, said, "Come in, dear." As the wolf entered the house, he leaped into grandmother's bed, wearing her nightcap and glasses, hoping to fool Little Red Riding Hood. A short while later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the house and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" she asked. The wolf, still pretending to be grandmother, replied, "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." "Come in, dear." As Little Red Riding Hood entered the house, she noticed something strange about her grandmother. "Grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf, trying to maintain the disguise. Little Red Riding Hood grew more suspicious. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf, getting impatient. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," exclaimed Little Red Riding Hood. At this point, the wolf couldn't contain his hunger any longer. With a menacing grin, he jumped out of the bed, revealing his true self. "All the better to eat you with," he snarled. Terrified, Little Red Riding Hood screamed and ran for the door. The villagers heard her cries and rushed to the rescue. They arrived just in time to save her from the wolf, who ran away into the forest. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood learned never to talk to strangers and to always stay on the path when walking through the forest. And as for the wolf, he never bothered anyone in the village again, and so, the little girl in the red hood, her grandmother, and the whole village lived happily ever after, knowing the importance of caution and kindness in the big, wide world.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more amazing content. Don't forget to hit the bell icon. We'll be back next day with next topic. Stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.